The Green Knight hits theaters as new trailers for Dune, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Venom 2, and House of Gucci all premiere on the internet as Scarlet Johansson goes to war with Disney. I'm Joe Acierno.
And I'm Darius Delsoin. This is Cinema Unchained.
Alright, now, folks, episode 24. I know we said we were going on hiatus. I was only kind of kidding. There's so much that happened within the last couple of weeks or so that we have to talk to you about before I go on vacation next week. So now, before we dive into the legal battle between Scarlett Johansson and Disney, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, YouTube, and so much more. And follow our social media pages in the description. Now, before we talk about the newly released trailer for Dune, one of many trailers we're going to be talking about today, according to E! News, Scarlett Johansson, the star of Black Widow, in case you forgot exactly who Scarlett Johansson was, has sued the Walt Disney Company alleging breach of contract when the company released Black Widow simultaneously in theaters and on Disney+. The legal team for Scarlett Johansson is arguing that Disney used the film and Johansson to promote their streaming service and raise the company's stock. Also, that her agreement with the company promised a full theatrical release for her solo film as Black Widow, and her salary was partly based on box office performance. Now, it's really strange because I kind of see, two sides to all this. On one end, you have the smallest violin being played for Scarlett Johansson, because obviously she's already made a lot of money with the release of Black Widow. But on the other end, too, there could possibly be a legal point here to exactly what it is that they're arguing. Because, again, no matter how much you've already made, what you're owed, you're owed, what you should get. So, again, what do you think about the drama that's been unfolding between Scarlett Johansson and Disney? Because I'm going to be honest, I'm a little surprised. This is not something I really saw coming.
I'm a mixture of surprise, but at the same time, I could see this happening, mainly because Scarlett Johansson recently has been coming out about basically how she felt about the portrayal of Black Widow in the MCU, and you can kind of feel and see that she does have a bit of distaste with playing the character, or at least certain creative decisions people have made over the years with the character. So I kind of felt that she had she and Disney and maybe even Marvel Studios didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and I think this coming forward, honestly, it's a huge shock that she's suing them over Black Widow and the multi-release on movies in theaters and on Disney Plus. But at the same time, a part of me is just like, I want to see how this turns out. We already have Disney firing back, calling Scarlett Johansson's sue legal action basically kind of distasteful and amongst other things. And so it's going to be interesting to see how all this unfolds. I do like Scarlett Johansson as an actress. She's really solid. But again, this is legal wise. This is beyond just acting and trying to tell a good lie. And so, I mean, it's kind of like it is what it is, but at the same time, you also have to consider Disney and what they were also kind of forced into when the pandemic happened. And so, and the changes they've had to make. Were they ideal maybe for them? Probably. We don't know. We're not Disney. Yeah. But at the same time, they're a company that's trying to make money. Scarlett Johansson also trying to make money, and obviously Black Widow, you can see how it performed. It did not perform really that great in the box office, but I don't necessarily think it's just because of the movie being released on Disney Plus. I think that is somewhat of a factor, but I don't think it's a huge factor. I mean, again, this is just me theorizing, thinking about it. I'm not entirely too sure. We're all not entirely too sure. We're just going to have to wait and see what actually transpires. But nonetheless, it's going to be an interesting ride, to say the least.
Here's the thing, too, because you have Scarlett Johansson and their team arguing one way. And then a Disney spokesperson, again, according to the article that I just quoted before from E! News, a Disney spokesperson responded to the lawsuit saying, "The lawsuit is especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard for the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic." So, of course, they're throwing the COVID card at her because, again, that's going to hit. Continuing that, Disney has, quote, "Disney has fully complied with Ms. Johansson's contract, and furthermore, the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus with Premier Access has significantly enhanced her ability to earn additional compensation on top of the $20 million she has received to date." And if I'm not mistaken, according to that article too, Black Widow has earned over $150 million at the domestic box office in the first 3 weeks of its release. So this is kind of turning into a game of he said, she said, because Disney kind of said just now, everything she said is just not true. So it's he said, she said. Again, who's actually right? Again, I have no idea. I didn't write the contract. I've never read the contract. But again, it's just so strange. Like, where do you think this is going to go? Like, do you think Scarlett Johansson is going to come out on top? Do you think Disney is going to end up having the better case? And that's the strangest thing, too. Whose case is actually even valid? Because, again, they're both saying, like, each other's cases are bullshit. So it's just really strange. Again, where do you think this is going to go?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's such... It's like, at the same time, it's just like, God dang it, another one. Why are we doing it during this time right now? And it's just... I don't know. This is something about... And I'm not saying... Or at least I'm not trying to say or elicit that Scarlett Johansson and Disney are egotistical, but it's this weird hierarchy and just, I guess, not necessarily power, but just wanting just a bit of money, you know? And again, we don't know the contract, like you said. And I mean, if I was Disney, I'm just saying, or like, you know, just in general, yeah, you're going to want to put at least something about releasing Black Widow on Disney Plus in the contract in general, I would assume. You know, it's just more reach. Not everybody wants to go to the theater. As you can see, Disney Plus is really getting up there in subscriber counts and everything. So it makes sense. I mean, $30 a fee is kind of ridiculous, but in my opinion, but still.
Yeah, exactly. I saw that. I'm like,
working.
I'm not doing that.
It is working to a certain degree, so it's really about, let's see what really happens after this and how all the parties feel. And not only that, what's Johansson's career going to look like going forward? You know, the fact that she's suing her previous employer, you know, regarding this, it's kind of, I don't know, kind of doesn't look too good, especially for other companies who probably initially wanted to work with her and now are probably backtracking like, I don't know, if she can sue them, she might sue us.
It all depends, and again, that depends on whether or not she's telling the truth. Again, I have no idea if she's telling the truth. Exactly. I have no idea if Disney's telling the truth. I'm going to be honest, you know, if we're talking about people in the entertainment industry, I'm never going to assume that either one's telling the truth. You know what I mean? Like, that's just that's just the nature of the beast. But again, I feel like in terms of like how other companies are going to react, if she can prove that she's telling the truth, then maybe it'll be a different story. Maybe they'll say, like, you know, oh, I would want to work with her. But at the same time, it could also be like, you know what, I don't want to deal with the drama with her either. Which, if she's telling the truth, sucks. Because if she's telling the truth, she's only going after what she's owed, no matter how much she's made already. That doesn't matter. What you're owed is what you're owed. Mm-hmm. So it's a sticky situation to say the least. And again, that's under the assumption that she's definitely telling the truth. Is it possible that Disney's telling the truth? Yeah, it is possible. Again, is that something I'm inclined to believe? No.
Yeah.
No. Again, like I said, when it comes to everybody in entertainment, I'm skeptical of whoever. Like, I'm skeptical by nature. And I think you and I have had certain encounters with certain people that have kind of formed that belief. But again, that's another discussion that we don't need to necessarily go into. But again, it's all very strange. It's kind of, for me personally, it definitely kind of came out of nowhere. And again, for all you guys that are listening, what do you guys think of Scarlett Johansson taking on Disney? Is she justified? Is she reaching too much? Do you trust Disney and, like, you know, the way that they do things? Do you believe her? You have to have some kind of thoughts if you've heard about this story, and you know what to do with those thoughts. You need to comment on those thoughts wherever it is that you can, whether it's on our social media pages and YouTube, on the YouTube comment page, wherever it is that you can. Please, for the love of God, do not be shy. And now, before we get into our thoughts on the newly released trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, another trailer was released for Dune, the upcoming sci-fi film based on the classic novel by Frank Herbert. Dune follows a young duke's struggle to bring peace to the newly inherited planet of his royal family. And I'm going to be honest, like, when I first found out about however many months ago it was, when Dune got delayed, I was so pissed. Because that first trailer really had me pumped. Now it's set to come out October 22nd. We're getting closer. They give us this new trailer, and I'm even more excited for this. Like, when I watched this trailer, my jaws were on the floor. My jaws had just hit the floor, and I felt like this trailer in particular gave us a more expansive look at the film. So I'm curious, what do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely agree. This movie, just from the first trailer, absolutely blew my mind. I was just like, wow, this looks phenomenal. This is something you have to see on the big screen. And not just any big screen. You have to see it in IMAX. You have to see it in Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. You have to see it in the best possible way.
Don't be a little bitch boy and watch it on your laptop. That's the moral of the
story. Don't go on HBO Max and watch it.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, like, honest, this movie just is... I mean, let's face it. It's sci-fi. Up my alley. It's expansive. The world building looks massive. Yep. Up my alley. Like, that's already a 2 for 2. Star cast. That's a 3 for 3 right there. So now
Holy
I'm just
shit.
hoping.
Just look at that cast.
I know.
Just look at that cast alone. Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa, Zendaya, Josh Brolin. I mean, and again, I'm sure there are a few more that I'm not even mentioning. This is an awesome looking cast.
Oh yes, and this just like it has all the elements of what reminds us of what makes a film, and especially in an epic scale and a massive scale, like Lord of the Rings scale. And so I'm freaking excited for this movie. I can't wait. This second trailer made my mouth wider than I thought it could go.
It's strange because, like, I don't know which trailer I like more. Like, this trailer definitely gave us more. Like I said, it gave us a bigger look at the world of the film. And based on this trailer alone, it definitely seems like this movie's going to be a bit more humorous than I would have expected. Because, like, it's funny, like, I read the book. I made it to the end of the book. And I remember there were certain funny parts here and there, but, like, I don't remember it being that humorous. Like, it was always, like, by and large, it was a very captivating book. But I don't remember my funny bone being tickled so much. But, I don't know, this trailer definitely gave me, like, that kind of impression that I wouldn't have expected.
I mean, if it's not humorous, I'm fine with that. It's nice to see a change of genres and, taking humor out of sci-fi maybe or whatever, The Marvel universe is basically comedy action at this point. But yeah, like Dune, like I said, this movie absolutely looks great. So far I don't have any complaints. Even the director, I am ecstatic to see what he does with this. Like, I love Arrival. I love Sicario. I am excited to see what he does with Dune.
Yeah, exactly. Denis Villeneuve, he's really come up in, like, the last few years as a very prominent filmmaker. He's one of those guys that anytime I hear about him doing something, I'm always stoked. Again, Blade Runner 2049 was awesome. Sicario was awesome. Arrival was my favorite movie of that particular year. Like, he absolutely knows what he's doing. This movie so far is stunning to look at, and it's really cool to see something that I read, like, actually visualize. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of times, like, I'll watch the movie before I read the book, or I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times I won't even bother reading the book. But, like, that's the first time where, in a long time, that I've read the book before seeing anything having to do with the movie. But keeping on the topic of the book, the only question mark that I have with this film is, why is it only based on the first part of the book? Because I remember, Darius, you and I were talking about this, like, within the last couple of weeks or so, and you made the point that the movie's only going to be based on, like, the first part of the book. And I'm thinking to myself, like, really? I don't know. Like, I kind of disagreed with you on that one, but then I looked into it, and you ended up being right. So I'm curious as to why that is.
I mean, probably because the book is much more massive, and maybe they want to do it into 2 parts and plus more money. So, I mean, there's so many different ways or reasons as to why they would do it. My most obvious choice to me is just like, hey, if we have this massive 1,000-page book, let's do the first part as a movie, let's do the second part. The entire book as like a 4-hour movie, but split into 2 parts. I mean, more money either way. So, but. Yeah, this, and even when I asked you how big the book was, you said, yeah, it's like closing to 1,000 pages. I was like, wow.
Yeah, it's like, I think
that is amazing. How are they going to do that into a movie?
Yeah, the copy that I have I think it's just shy of 800 pages. But the thing is, I feel like one of the skills of adapting a book into a movie is trimming out what needs to be in the movie. What does that mean? Take a look at least most of the Harry Potter films.
Mm-hmm.
And other than the last one that was split into 2 parts, the rest of them were big books that were done in one movie. I think the longest one was The Order of the Phoenix, and they managed to trim that into one of the shortest Harry Potter films, and it ended up being really good.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's really like my only complaint so far with Dune. Other than that, I think everything else that this movie has going for it, the pedigree and just how everything looks so far, that's going to absolutely outweigh that little complaint there.
Yeah, for sure. And I prefer to read the book before the movie, and I think even for Dune, considering that it's a sci-fi and it seems like it's up my alley, I definitely want to read that before the movie.
Yeah. I gotta loan you the book. I gotta give you the book before I go on vacation.
But yeah, this definitely, like I said, this movie just looks spectacular on every level. It feels like almost a successor to Lord of the Rings as well, in a way of just how massive and expansive it is, and the cinematography and everything. And so I'm excited to see this. This is definitely an IMAX viewing for me. Yes. I can't see it in a regular theater. I can't see it on my laptop. And if you're thinking of laptop, you're insane.
If you're thinking of a laptop,
yeah.
Fuck you.
He said it, not me. But yeah.
I'm up to it. I don't care. I don't care. We're right. But yeah, no. So this movie at this point in time, again, I have to emphasize that, is set to be released in theaters and on HBO Max on October 22nd. Again, we're obviously seeing that opening day. So I'm curious, for all you guys that are still watching, what do you think of everything that we've seen so far concerning Dune? And again, I have to ask, are you seeing this in theaters or on HBO Max? Or are you going the extra mile and seeing it in IMAX as well? So again, wherever you can, any thoughts that you have with the movie so far, you know exactly what to do. Comment wherever it is that you can. And now, before we talk about the new trailer for Ghostbusters Afterlife, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Google Podcasts, Listen Notes, the Podcast Index, Stitcher, and more. And follow our social media pages in the description. Now, before we discuss the new trailer, or really the first trailer for House of Gucci, another trailer has been released for Ghostbusters Afterlife, and this comes after the movie was set to come out last summer. But of course it got delayed, like so many other films, because of COVID-19. And this new trailer just came out. And I'm going to be honest, after watching this one, I got a lot of, Spielberg, J.J. Abrams Super 8 vibes from the trailer. So far, this feels different than the original film. It doesn't have that same hokey feeling, which I do appreciate. Darius, what do you think? Did you get that similar feeling?
Yes. I'm all stoked for Ghostbusters Afterlife now. This trailer just further solidified my excitement for this, because I've already been excited for this movie, mainly because they're going a different direction. It seemed like they're still taking some cues from the original, like the original Ecto 1, but also revitalizing it in a way where you have a cockpit coming out, and this movie for me feels like a classic done right so far from the trailer. Have to wait and see. And I'm nothing but excited, and I love how they took some inspiration from the original Ghostbusters, like the classic Ghost, did new versions of them, put their own spin on it. It's still memorable. You still recognize the taxi ghost with the skeleton. That's great to see. I'm just excited, and
Same.
You have it feels like the right culmination of everything, from the director being the son of the original Ghostbusters, director, and even he's did I think, I forgot which Ghostbuster, but I know he did the son did another one beforehand. To me, this just feels like I believe he did. I forgot which one. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I remember correctly, I thought he did. But like I said, to me, this feels like the Ghostbusters movies a lot of us fans have wanted, and not that 2016 one that shouldn't have come out.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing: I've heard so much about the 2016 Ghostbusters, and again, the more I hear about it, the less I want to watch it. But going back to what you're saying about the director and co-writer of this new film is Jason Reitman, who's very, very talented. He directed Juno, he directed Up in the Air, both of which are excellent films. And it's funny because you look at Ghostbusters Afterlife, and compare it to Juno and Up in the Air and Thank You for Smoking, another great movie, this seems like an odd choice for Jason Reitman to make in terms of, like, you know, a movie that he wants to direct. But at the same time, it's not, because, again, he's the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original Ghostbusters film, who's also producing this one. So I think that warm, fuzzy feeling that you and I are getting from Ghostbusters Afterlife so far, I think that's in large part because of Jason Reitman, because, again, he's very talented. He definitely knows how to bring heart and humor to any story that he picks up. But I think another thing that this movie has going for it so far, I mean, this is another movie with a really good-looking cast. You have Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. You have Paul Rudd. I mean, who can say no to Paul Rudd at this point? But
yeah, definitely. Like Paul Rudd is a great casting choice in my opinion. I hope he does more. That's the one thing, is that I actually hope he does more in this movie. But again, we'll have to wait and see. Instead of just being the science teacher and tagging along, it'll be nice to see Paul Rudd in the Ghostbuster outfit with. Oh, that would be great to see. But yeah, like you said, this just feels like the right culmination. How you respect the classic movies while still trying to reinvent and doing something different.
Yeah.
And as well as passing down the torch, but in an organic way.
Yes.
Considering
yes,
the main character is a descendant of one of the original cast members.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because building on that point, too,
characters.
you have Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Sigourney Weaver. They're all going to be reprising their roles. And I am curious to see, like, how their characters come into play 35 years later, and I hope it's to do what you said, again, pass the torch. Because I love it when you have a movie franchise that you have one generation of characters passing the torch on the next generation. Because, like, I remember when it came to the new, to the sequel Star Wars trilogy. Again, we can say whatever we want about the newer Star Wars films, but one of the things I really did appreciate about those films, that, like, you had, like, the older characters coming back to pass the torch on to the newer characters. Again, whatever they did with the newer characters, again, we can argue about that to the end of time. But just that dynamic, I really did appreciate that. You know, again, this sort of, like, generational transition. I've always loved that. And again, I think that this has potential to pull that off really, really well. So, you know, we'll see what happens. Right now, at the moment, once again, I have to emphasize, at the moment, this is slated to come out in theaters on November 11th. I do wish that it would have come out, or would have been slated to come out before Halloween, but maybe that's just me being a little nitpicky.
Or around Halloween. Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, like in the month of October. But again, you know, with all the craziness going on in the world, considering, you know, COVID-19, you know, all the changes that movie companies have had to make, you know, it's fine. It's honestly fine. So, again, you know, with what we've seen so far for Ghostbusters Afterlife, again, obviously, you know, Darius and I seem to be pretty confident. What do you guys think so far? Because, again, like, you know, this is another movie that's been going around, like, you know, the grapevine for a while now. You have to have some kind of thoughts on it. Leave your thoughts wherever it is that you can. And now, before we get into the, I guess, just dropped trailer for Venom 2, the trailer for the next film from Ridley Scott was released. It was called House of Gucci. And House of Gucci follows the true story of the murder of Maurizio Gucci by his ex-wife, my Italian's failing me today, Patrizia Reggiani, and the family drama leading up to and following the event. And now, well, Darius, before I talk for too long, what exactly do you think so far of this one?
Yeah, honestly, I think this movie, it intrigued me. I'm not exactly excited or heavily interested in seeing it, but it's that movie where it's like, I think I would see it. And it intrigues me enough to the point where I would actually go out of my way to actually see this movie. I think Lady Gaga is also yet again an interesting choice. But I have to give it to her. She's not too shabby. She's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I have a gut feeling she's gonna steal the show.
Yeah, I have a feeling too that she's gonna be one of the. I mean, seeing Al Pacino in this is like, wow. Okay,
I'm watching the trailer, right, and I'm seeing all these names get dropped, and like how all of these actors and actresses seem to disappear into their roles. Then I'm like, just when I think it couldn't get any better, you bring in Michael Corleone. I mean, this is just gonna be awesome. Like, the cast already is just looks insane. You have Lady Gaga, Adam Driver. Again, you can never go wrong with Adam Driver. Jared Leto, he looks unrecognizable in this movie. Is it just me?
I didn't recognize him.
Like, it said, Academy Award winner Jared Leto, after it shows, like, a picture of him, or before it shows pictures of him, I'm like, what the are you serious? That's him? Holy shit.
Yeah, it looked like he underwent, like, a total transformation. And I was watching it, I'm just like, wait, Jared Leto, where was he? Like, it was that good to the point where I didn't even recognize, I didn't even know he was in it until I still saw the name, just the name. And so, as I said before, I'm intrigued, I'm interested. Am I excited? No, but it is something I may potentially want to see, and see how I feel about it. That sort of thing.
Yeah, because this is a movie that, like, the more I think about it, like, after watching the trailer the first time, I've been watching it over and over and over again. And you have Jeremy Irons in the cast too. Who's the voice of Scar in The Lion King. Obviously, in my opinion, the greatest Disney villain of all time. It's been so long since I've seen Scar in a movie, which again I'm really looking forward to. But this movie is being directed by Ridley Scott, right? Okay, this is the same guy who did.
And I want to yes.
He did The Martian. He did Gladiator. He did the original Alien. He did Black Hawk Down, American Gangster. He's obviously he has a name for a reason. And just think of this. He is 83 years old, okay? This movie is one of two films. This is one of two films that is coming out this year from him. The other one being The Last Duel. Check out the trailer for that one as well. That one actually looks pretty solid, too. But he is 83 years old and pumping out two movies in 1 year. It just reminds me of the bitch that I am in comparison. Because But honestly, I got to give serious props to him. Again, he's another director that anytime I hear about his name being attached to something, I almost immediately get excited. And just from the movie
Same
itself,
here.
From what we've seen so far, this movie looks tense but stylish at the same time.
Mm-hmm. This, when you told me Ridley Scott, I was like, ooh, oh,
yep.
What? Because I love Alien, one of my other favorite sci-fi films. Sci-fi hard. You can't go wrong with that. It's a beautiful blend. And so Ridley Scott over the years for me, I really like his work, and I'm very excited to. Sorry. I'm thinking Alien again. I am intrigued by this one, mainly because it's not the film I would go out and see. It's not my type of genre, amongst those lines. But Ridley Scott, I do like him, and because of that, I am intrigued by this one.
Yeah, this movie, with everything it has going on, this movie looks Gucci to say the least. Shut the fuck up, Joe. All right, so now
Thank you. I didn't have to say that.
This movie is currently set to come out on November 24th of this year. Again, for all you guys that are still with us, are you guys pumped for House of Gucci? I don't see how you can't be. Are you psyched to see a cast like this one? Again, I don't see how you can't be. Leave your thoughts wherever it is that you can. And now, before we get into our review of the new film, The Green Knight, literally as we were setting up to record this episode, the trailer for Venom 2 dropped out. Thank you so much, Sony. Again, Darius, you're more of the you're the designated comic book geek here. What do you think of this film so far? With the new stuff that we've seen, what do you think?
So, I love Venom 1. I'm excited for this. Everything looks amazing. That's what I would say if I did like Venom 1, but I didn't. No, but honestly, even seeing the first trailer, I wasn't too impressed. The only thing I said about the first trailer was that Carnage looks cool. He looks like what he should be, and that was it. And to be honest, that's the same thing I felt into the second trailer. Nothing has really changed for me. I didn't like Venom 1 at all. The only thing I'm going to be fair and honest. The only thing I liked from Venom 1 was the design of Venom. That was it. I didn't really like almost anything else about that movie. And going into Venom 2, I like the design of Venom. They're keeping it up. And I like Carnage. I like his design. I will say this. I'm slightly more interested mainly to see how they deal with Carnage, because that does seem a bit interesting. It does seem like they are trying to go the comic book route origin with it, and how Carnage is a fuse between the symbiote and actual blood. And so that's the only thing. He looks cool. He looks like what he should be, and that's really it. I'm still not too excited. And I even told my friend, I was like, yo, if you want me to see this movie in theater, you're going to have to drag me out the house.
As far as, like, what, again, this is, like, a really, really fresh impression, because, again, this trailer just came out. I'm cautious. I don't know if I'd even say I'm cautiously optimistic. Again, this trailer gave us a bit more. It gave us a better look at Carnage. Just, again, not only what he looks like, but who he seems to be. It looks a bit more intense than the first film, which I do appreciate. But again, I'm still a bit skeptical because of the first film. But again, you have a different person working on Venom 2 than you do Venom 1. Another thing that I noticed too in this trailer is that it seems to be showing a bit more of a conflict and struggle between Eddie Brock and Venom. So I do want to see exactly how that unfolds. I feel like this movie's definitely going to be funnier than the first one. But, again, we'll just have to wait and see. Because, again, the first Venom, in my opinion, set the bar very low. And because, again, the only things that you had going for the movie were Tom Hardy. Again, he did what he could do. And I was still impressed. And you also had, again, just how Venom looked. And you had the Eminem song. That was pretty much it. Everything else was not that good. So. Yeah,
just... Like I said, even with this new trailer, I wanted to be excited for this one. Even with Andy Serkis helming this, I want to be excited, but I'm just not. And, Venom 1, I really wasn't a big fan. Venom 2, I have a feeling I'm not going to like it either. Again, the only thing I could really say is I am interested to see how they do the character of Carnage and his alter ego, see how that plays out. Because that does look interesting to me as a comic book nerd, because it seems like they are going the route from the comics. Again, it's different, but I'm interested to see where it goes. But again, this is definitely a superhero movie I actually don't even want to go to the theaters to see.
Yeah, I mean, again, if I have I'll only watch it just to review it and more than likely rip it apart on this show. That's...
Yeah. Oh, same here!
So, again, we'll just have to see what happens. If I'm not mistaken, this movie still set to come out on September 17th, right? If I'm not mistaken?
Oh my gosh, September? Shang-Chi's early. God dang.
Yeah. At least for the time being, right? Until that changes miraculously as we upload this episode. But again, Venom 2 is another film that's been tossed around a lot. Do you guys still care at this point? That's the question I'm going to leave you guys with. Do you guys still give a fuck? So... Again, well, leave your thoughts wherever it is that you can. You know what to do at this point. I'm repeating myself. And now, to cap off the show, the new film, The Green Knight. It came out this past weekend in theaters. And I know we originally announced that we were going on a hiatus, but after watching this film, I'm like, I think we need to do just one more episode before shit really starts to hit the fan everywhere else. Now, for those of you who don't know, this is based on the legendary tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Gawain is a headstrong nephew of the iconic King Arthur, and must journey to combat the mysterious Green Knight after landing a blow against him the year before. The film was directed and written for the screen by David Lowery, and it stars Dev Patel, Alicia Vikander, Joel Edgerton, and Sean Harris. Now, I noticed just how visceral of a reaction this movie tended to give. Because I had multiple people, and again, Darius, I think this happened with you too. This had multiple people come up to us after the film and say, hey, did you guys just watch The Green Knight? We didn't talk to these people at all during the theater or during the movie or as we're walking out of the theater. So it was just so strange. Like, literally, I went to go to the bathroom after the movie was done. Like, I sprinted to the bathroom because I had to pee like you wouldn't believe. And just out of nowhere, a random guy comes up to me while I was taking a piss, and he just asked me, he goes, did you guys see The Green Knight? Like, I think myself, wait, what? He just randomly asked me that. I'm like, I guess, like, was it just written on my face that I'd seen the movie, and we're just
Did he want to get pissed on?
Wait, what'd you say?
I said, did he want to get pissed on? I was like, what? Like,
and we're just talking about the movie while we're both taking a piss. It was just so fucking weird. And that wasn't the first time that happened, because, again, we're walking back to our car, to my car, you, me, and Roberto, and just another guy just walking out with his son. He goes, did you guys see The Green Knight? And we're like, wait, what? How? How does everyone know? because it's not like we're the only movie being let out at that time. But like I guess we made more eye contact with people in the theater than we originally meant to. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I really enjoyed this movie so much. But again, before I go on and talk for too long, Darius, I know you had a couple thoughts on this movie. We were talking about this for a while, like the entire car ride home.
We were talking about it for a while. I couldn't go to sleep because I was thinking about it. This movie was on my brain for hours on hours, and it still kind of is. It's in the back end, but it still is. This movie I thought was freaking amazing. I really liked it. I liked that it wasn't too action heavy. It was more drawn out and trying to at least, and this is another thing. This is a film that is theme and symbolically heavy, and vague for a reason, and they keep it ambiguous throughout almost the entire movie, and they want you to interpret everything for yourself as if there's no right and wrong, but there is. But the theme is what really brings this movie together, to me, in my opinion, and to me personally. And I think everything from I will have to say this, because we were walking out of the theater, and I told you my first reaction is the sound design in this movie is amazing. Like every tree branch, and even the Green Knight himself moving, the voice he had, everything else, it felt so alive, so immersive, so visceral and grounded, that I really appreciated that. And like the sound design in this, the music in this, the musical cues from certain sound design elements they put in here, and how the sound design kind of turns into the score, I think was absolutely done amazingly. And this movie, to me, it kind of surpassed my expectation, because I was expecting a pretty deep and grounded film, but I didn't expect it to be this deep, as far as how I personally thought what they were trying to go for. And so, like I said, absolutely enjoyed it. Dev Patel was absolutely amazing, showing the charismatic side, while also having almost this chaoticness to him. This Alicia Vikander, I love that girl. Let's just say that she was amazing.
She's awesome.
Again, the symbolism, the themes in this movie really stood out and really made this film unique for what it was. And that's really as much as I can. I mean, there's a lot more, but just take that to heart, and just tell yourself, when you see this movie, nothing is explicitly tells you what's actually somewhat going on. It's all up to interpretation.
Again, it's a very ambiguous film, to say the least. It's ambiguous throughout the film, and the ending is ambiguous too. And all this ambiguity, all this stuff that just really isn't spelled out for the audience. Again, it made for a much better discussion and entertaining car ride going home with the three of us. But at the same time, I loved how this was I loved how I was seeing like a really fresh take on a King Arthur storyline, right? Something that feels new out of something that's stood the test of time. Like, I don't know, there's just something that felt kind of, I don't know, endearing about that experience. But at the same time, one of the things that it definitely keeps up with in terms of like the original like Arthurian storyline, and just that whole atmosphere in general, is how the morality of this film is focused on earning honor instead of seeking it. And the lessons that Gawain learns throughout all of this, it really shook me to my core. What happens when you try to force certain things instead of just being called to earn them. And again, like you said before, it's definitely not too focused on action. It's definitely a very contemplative sort of film. It feels very methodical. But at the same time, as much as there wasn't really a lot of action, there's still a very eerie and mysterious feeling to this film. I always felt like something was about to go wrong. Again, this movie is beautifully directed by, again, David Lowery. I have to check out his other film, A Ghost Story. It's gorgeous to look at, color, landscapes. The effects are terrific, especially with that of the Green Knight, and performances across the board really are solid. Dev Patel, got to give it to him. But again, all in all, this was very, very much worth my time and money spent.
Yeah, the color in this, my God, it is beautiful from beginning to end, and also has a great double meaning. And there's a certain monologue in this. I don't want to tell too much, but that monologue kind of painted the movie in itself, really. And
I remember that.
like I said,
I think I know which one you're talking about.
yeah, and even that scene, this person didn't look intimidating, but dang, I was intimidated. I felt a bit threatened. It was just so well made. I absolutely love this movie. This is definitely, as of right now, it's kind of in my top 5, top 10 movies of this year.
Yeah, honestly, this, for me personally, I think this, at this moment, again, this could change too, this slightly edges out In the Heights for my favorite movie that I've seen this year so far.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I know you really liked In the Heights.
I really did. I really, really did. But this movie, for the time being, takes the cake, but only by a little bit. So, again, for all you guys that are still with us, what did you think of The Green Knight? Again, does it live up to the legend of King Arthur and his court? Excuse me. Is it too open-ended for your liking? Because, Darius, I remember you asked me, do you think this is good for, like, you know, a casual moviegoer, right? As opposed to us who, like, you know, really likes to get into, like, you know, these sort of discussions. I'm going to be honest, like, I don't know. I wouldn't think it's for, like, you know, a casual film goer. That's just something to keep in mind, too, if you're thinking of watching this movie. But, again, like, you know, go see it for yourself. Absolutely go see it for yourself. And, again, like, you know, just comment wherever you can. Open up that discussion. Let's talk a little bit. And, just like that, the show is done. Before we end things off for good, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, and more. And follow our social media pages in that description. The Green Knight is now in theaters. Again, it's a must-see in theaters. Don't you dare watch this on your fucking laptop. Trailers for Dune, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Venom 2, and House of Gucci are now on the internet. Again, they're all definitely worth checking out. Of course, we are going on a brief hiatus, mainly because next week I will hopefully not be in the country, hoping that all works out. But for when we resume, tune in a couple weeks from now to check out our review of Free Guy, starring Ryan Reynolds and more. And just like that, episode 24 of Cinema Unchained has now been done, and we'll see you all soon.